Hi there, I'm Clark Terry, and I'm a trumpet player, and I've been around for a number of years, and maybe some of you will recognize me, and maybe some of you won't, but that's beside the point. We're here for the purpose of maybe say we'll talk trumpet for this period, and we hope that it's going to be as much fun for you as I'm sure it's going to be for me. We like to get into some basic, fundamental things and some talk about what trumpet has always stood for, what it shall always stand for, and ways and means of getting involved, and ways of your involvement proving to be fun for you in the very, very immediate future, we hope. Trumpet is an instrument, a wind instrument, that has been around for a number of years. It's used in jazz, classical, rock, pop, marching bands, and all sorts of bands. You've seen the classical things on television, and you've seen all sorts of musical combinations and organizations where you'll see the trumpet there, always 2 or 3 or 4 in a section. Sometimes one cat stands out. It's an instrument that can be lots of fun, and we hope that we're going to prove this to you. Lots of fun to play, and we hope that by the time we finish our gathering here for this next hour, you're going to be glad that you got involved. We hope so. We'd like to show you some of the parts. This, of course, is the mouthpiece, and this particular part here is called the receiver because it receives the mouthpiece, naturally. This is the leader pipe, and this is the tuning slide. The farther out it gets, the farther out you pull it, the lower the pitch, which makes it flatter. The farther in you push it, the higher the pitch, which makes it makes it sharp. And these are the bottom valve caps. And these are the top valve caps. And these are the finger tips. Mine are a little bit fancy because I like to have my birchstone on there, which is turquoise. And this is the gadget which is used for helping intonation in case your horn is a bit out of tune and you want to play a tune with the combination of this valve a little bit, make it a little bit flatter. You can use it to play it in tune a little more. For instance, if this is a little bit sharp, when it's closed, you pull it out, and it brings it down a little bit. So any combination with that valve. And this is the finger hook. This is the finger hook. I have one on the left side because I occasionally play 2 horns with a little act, which I do, play some on this side, some on the other side. But you now have all the basic parts. Oh, no, you don't. This is the water keys. These 2 gizmos down here are the water keys. This is to let out the oil or the saliva, which sometimes is entrapped in these curvatures here. Makes it very, very difficult to produce a nice, clear, beautiful sound, which I'm sure that all of you are going to eventually produce, because when water and oil gets trapped in there, you get a gurgling, bubbling type sound, and you don't want that. This, of course, is the bell. And speaking of the bell, and this being a wind instrument, we have to always remember that when you produce a sound, you must go back to the theory that the sound starts at the sound post, which is the area where the upper stomach walls work in conjunction with the diaphragm. And this is the area where if you were to lie on the floor and watch your fingers go up and down, like that, you'll see that's the area that we're speaking of. That's the diaphragm area. This is where the sound is produced. Sort of like when the karate people are getting ready to go through the brick or the stones, they go, ha, ha! That's the same principle that we use when we were playing trumpet. Ha, ha, ha! We're going. Ha, ha! From here, ha! And make sure that it comes from there, because if you direct the air column in any other way, if it should go down, it go, it won't help you in it. You got to make sure that you're thinking upward and outward. When the sound leaves that sound post, bounces right off the bell of that horn. Of course, you control the volume and the speed, or rather the softness or loudness. So you can play as loudly or as softly as you can, as you want to. This is why they call it a wind instrument, because it's controlled by the wind that you produce into it. And we must let you know something about the friends of the trumpet, mutes These are called mutes. This one is called a Harmon mute with the stem, very rarely used in orchestration today. Sort of used to be referred to in some areas as the Mickey Mouse mute because you get that type of Mickey Mouse type approach. And it's only used, well, I wouldn't say only used, it's used quite a lot for comedy type sound. And then, of course, you can take out the stem, and this is the area that the type of sound that most jazz people like very much. They like this particular sound because it's very conducive to the jazz idiom. So that's the Harmon. Then we have the cup mute because of the nature of its build. It's built like a cup, and it has a few degrees of areas that you can push it in for loudness or softness. You can put it there, or push it in a little more, or even a little more, or even a little more. So forth. And this is nice sometimes to practice with at home when people are busy, or in the back of the classroom when other things are going on, or wherever you want to practice where you don't want to disturb people. You can use this one. Can't hear it too well. I sometimes practice on airplanes, traveling from one city to the other on long trips because of the hum of the motor. I'm sitting right next to someone who's sleeping. You know, I got my horn in, I'm practicing. And he never knows I'm there until I start dancing a little bit, you know. And this is called a straight mute. Sometimes an excellent sound for a section. So you've heard these sounds. Now here's one here that goes way, this is the daddy of all these. We always like to give you little bits and pieces of jazz history. So this goes way back to New Orleans in the area used to be known as Congo Square. It's now been developed into an area which is known as Louis Armstrong Park, where they have an excellent park and beautiful theater and a great auditorium for concerts. Well, all the guys used to hang out there, and the cats used to sit around and have jam sessions, and there were coconut trees around, and cats used to take coconuts and saw them in half and drink their refreshments out of these coconut shells. And one day, some cat was laying there, picked up a coconut shell, said, "Hey, man, it's just about the size of the bell of my horn. Let's dig that, you know." Tried it, and it went, wah-wah. He said, "Wow, it makes a nice wah-wah type sound." So that was the beginning of that, until someone passed through the kitchen one day and saw the plumber's helper laying there. It was the kitchen, not the bathroom. Saw the plumber's helper laying there, and he tried that and said, "Hey, that's about the size of my coconut." So he tried that, and says, besides, it's a little more flexible. So he found that he could maneuver and manipulate it a little more. And then you could even get the same effect with it. You get the same effect with that as you can with this. Listen to the similarity. Clearly hear the similarity? So forth. So this has only cost a couple of bucks, and it's cost a lot of bucks. So as a matter of fact, this doesn't even cost a buck, I don't think. But anyhow, we'd like to have you know something about the colorations of sounds and the implements which we use to bring them about. And another thing that we'd like very much for you to be aware of, in order to have fun with your instruments and for your instruments to enjoy longevity along with you yourselves on the instruments, you must know how to take care of them. That's very, very important. Now, these are some of the things which we have found are great friends of the trumpet. This is called a snake, simply because it crawls up like a snake. And we'd like very much to have all people who are going to own a trumpet to have a snake. The way that you use the snake is to just push this little gizmo through there, all the way through, until it goes all the way down, past this, and it cleans out. I'm just going to show you. I think my horn is a little bit, well, it's not so dirty. How about that? But the snake cleans that out, and then you can even put it through all of the parts on the horn. Put it through there and run that through, and put it through here, run that through. And the snake does an excellent job. So you make sure that you are an owner of a snake, because it's very, very important. And not only should you have a snake to clean out the parts of the horn, you should have, there's a smaller graduated gadget with the hairs on the end that go from point to a graduated end with a little handle on it, which fits up into the back of your mouthpiece, and it brushes right in. It's a little brush, that angle brush, and you push it in there and just turn it around, cleans the mouthpiece out perfectly. And the reason that you have to do this is because trumpets are made with certain bores, and once you become accustomed to the type of opening that you have throughout your instrument, that's the way you're going to learn to play it. And the minute that you become negligent to the point where you don't keep your instrument clean, it's sort of like, well, the valves of our bodies, the veins of our bodies. If you don't eat the proper foods, the veins start getting smaller and smaller because of things that cause them to coat on the inside, and the column, the passageway becomes smaller and smaller. Same thing will happen with the horn. And instead of blowing through a tube that's that big, you're going to find yourself blowing through a tube that's that big, and it becomes very, very difficult. And as a result, it makes you have to work harder, and sometimes it's almost impossible for you to play in tune. So we'd like very much for you to know something about the care of your instrument and the parts, and the fact that it is a wind instrument, and you must know how to produce the sound from your sound post, and that it is a trumpet, and the history of it as far back as it goes. And we want you to get involved and get ready to have some fun with us, because we got a few things that we want to lay on you that we hope are going to be fun, and stick around, okay? Now, fellow trumpeters, in order to understand and more thoroughly enjoy your trumpet playing careers, it's time that we should introduce you to a bit of theory. So the first thing you should know about is the staff, because that's what all your music is going to be written on. A staff is 5 lines and 4 spaces upon which music is written. The spaces are generally referred to as are known by the letters F-A-C-E, so we call that face, F-A-C-E, face. The lines E, G, B, D, F. Every good boy does fine, and F-A-C-E. And you can repeat that with me. The spaces, F-A-C-E, and the lines, every good boy does fine, okay? So, also we have bar lines, which make up the measures between, for the music, where the music is written on the staff. Between those bar lines is the measure. So we have the bar lines, we have the clef signs, we know what the spaces are called, we know what the lines are called. So remember that, because you're going to see a lot of that in your trumpet playing careers, okay? Next we're going to go to note values, which are very, very important. We're going to have some little demonstrations here right quick to show you about note values. I find that's very, very interesting, because we all like apples, and we know that a whole note is like a whole apple. If you cut this apple in half, you get 2 pieces of apple. So you got, now it's whole, you got a whole note. Now it's a part, you got 2 notes, so you got 2 half notes. Now we're going to even go further than that. We're going to bust this apple down into 4 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4. You see those 4 pieces there? And we got quarter notes right there. That's what a quarter note looks like. We're going to go even a step farther than that. We're going to bust these pieces down from the quarter note, and we're going to make eighth notes out of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Eighth notes, and that's what an eighth note looks like. So always remember, whole note, just a circle with no stem. Half note, a circle with a stem. Quarter note, a filled-in circle with a stem. Eighth note, a filled-in circle with a stem and a tag on it. What is this? And this, and this, and okay, you got it. Now, next we're going to go to something that's just as important as the notes, and that is rests. We're going into rests now. Rests are very, very important because as one gentleman explained one time about reading music, he said, is reading music very difficult? He said, it's not the notes, it's the rests that are difficult. So this is what, once again, a whole rest would be like the whole apple we explained to you, which gets 4 beats. The half rest gets 2 beats. This is like a hat turned upside down, the whole rest. And the half rest is the hat sitting on the head. The quarter rest looks like a streak of lightning. And the eighth rest, which gets a half a beat, looks like a 7. So a whole rest, 4 beats. Half rest, 2 beats. Quarter rest, 1 beat. Eighth rest, half beat. And now we're going to go into tonguing and slurring and eighth notes and so forth. This, of course, you know, quarter note, quarter note, quarter note, quarter note. Now this is a type of indulgence that we sometimes get involved with notes, which determine the difference in the way a tune sounds after you've played it. You might see a tune at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 quarter notes. And you might have 4 or 5 different tunes with those 8 quarter notes, but the way that they are interpreted determines how they're going to sound. And that is determined by whether they're played long or legato or short or staccato. The long means legato, short means staccato. In other words, long is la, 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 and staccato is dot, 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 dot. Now, sometimes you're going to run into, and the slurs are the same way, da, da, which means that you actually don't tongue each note as you go. Da, da. You go from one note and sort of sing up to the next note. Da. Suppose you have a scale, which you're going to get to just a little bit later on. We're going to jump ahead of ourselves just for a moment, just to say a scale would go do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Take away the syllables, we'll just say la, 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 la. If we played this with slurs, we say, if we played this with the staccato, it would be dum, 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 dum. We played it legato, la, 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 and it's tied again. So that's the difference between the slur and the legato and the staccato, okay? And now a student of mine, Mark, will assist me in demonstrating time signatures to you. This is the 4/4, which means 4 beats to measure, and each quarter note gets 1 beat. This is common time, which is literally the same. This is 2/4, 2 beats to measure, and each quarter note gets 1 beat. This is 3/4, 3 beats to measure, and each quarter note gets 1 beat. Mark will demonstrate the 4/4. I'll tap the time and rest in between. He'll play for just a few measures. 1, 2, 3, 4, rest, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, rest, 2, 3, 4. Mark will do that for me, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest, 2, 3, 4. Rest, 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 rest. And now, Mark's going to demonstrate for you just how to play a C scale, because this is what you will eventually be working up to, a C scale. So, Mark, show them just how a C scale would go. And you can watch as we go along. You can note the fingering on the chart. One more time, Mark, and I'll go up with them. Very good, beautiful. And I hope that you'll put lots and lots of time on the scale, because the scale is very, very important. And this is what you're going to get involved in when you're from every note on your horn. from every angle. You're going to be able to do that from from any note that you hit, because in due time you're going to be able to play any musical passage from any given note, and the scale is the daddy of all those things that you're going to get involved in, and this is the basis of it all. So work on those scales. You can't go wrong. On the subject of chops, we learned that in Mexico, before a trumpet player is given his instrument to play, he's encouraged very highly and sometimes forcefully to play that mouthpiece for a long time before he puts it in the horn. And this, of course, gets him accustomed to buzzing the embouchure, which, of course, is where it all starts. And that simply means actually what you're doing is sort of puckering the lips around the area of which we call the embouchure, closely to the teeth, leaving a small hole for the air column to be controlled from the diaphragm up through the air column, straight through this little hole and right into the mouthpiece, where it produces where the buzz produces the sound after it reaches, goes into the instrument. And this is the basis of the whole sound of the trumpet. The buzz. Doesn't matter if you waste a bit of saliva in there. That's what you got water keys on there for, so don't worry about that. Just then after you've done that for a while, remember, don't let too much of this part of the lip become exposed, because you can't control it. This is the weakest part of your body, so tuck it and get it under the area where you can put some pressure on it. If I let this go out like this, I couldn't possibly make an octave higher. This way, I can, because I control that area with the buzz. So now we've learned to buzz and put the mouthpiece up there. Then take it down and buzz it all without it. Remember, the basic theory is that for low notes it's ta, for the middle notes it's tu, and for the higher part it's ti. Ti tu ta, ta tu ti. And then you put it in, and remember your scales and so forth that you've worked on, and then you begin to produce first a nice warm, think of a long, fat, wide, full column of air that you're going to produce from here all the way to the back of the area where you are, the room or the classroom or the school, or if you're outdoors, make it go all the way to the back of the backyard. That same buzz, only this way you're controlling the air column with a nice, and it all works mentally. It's all, you're thinking of a nice warm column of air, which produces a nice big fat warm sound. Now, remember your stance. You have to stand so that your body is planted perfectly. Both feet are flat on the ground, and your arms are raised to the point where you're allowing your lungs enough air to produce the sound and to produce the air column and the wind that you need to play this wind instrument. So Don't cramp yourself out and cramp your style and cramp your air column and hamper your ability to play and blow with full force and a full air column by trying to be hip at the way that you've probably seen some players play, standing over like this. And you can't play like that. That's wrong. You've seen guys do it like that, and the only thing you do when you see guys do it like this and playing like the only thing you do is say, look at that cat play, or did you see him play? You don't say, listen to him play, or did you hear him play? You say, look at that cat, man. But you don't want to get involved with that. You want people to hear, and you want to enjoy what you're playing. So you're playing for sound, not for to be looked at. So remember to stand properly. Now, if you're sitting, you're going to be playing in a section. Make sure that you're sitting so that your body is distributed properly. You sit back in your seat, feet planted, arms raised properly, allowing plenty of space in the diaphragm. It's very difficult to play when you see some guys sitting in sections and they think they're hip and they're groove and they sit like that. You can't play like that. You can't even talk that way. You might say, hey man, what's the next tune that we're playing? And it's difficult to speak in that fashion. Well, if you sit up, what's the next tune that we're playing? And it's very easy to let the air column open up and you can play, and you play in the same fashion. I'll show you the difference in that. It's impossible. You can't do it. You need that. Remember, trumpet players have to be in almost as good physical condition as boxers and quarterbacks and athletes. So stay in there, stick in there, and give it a good shot, because you're going to enjoy it way down the line. We need to talk a bit about intervals, because intervals are going to prove to be one of your greatest allies when it comes to preparing your chops for playing. In other words, for warming up. We have here listed some intervals. That's the major second, that's the major third, the perfect fourth, perfect fifth, and the octave and reverse. Octave, perfect fifth, perfect fourth, major third, major second. And they would sound. And very, very important for octaves, because when you're warming up, you want to make sure that the idea for warming up is to get your lip flexible enough till it'll do whatever it is that you want it to do. We have some very, very weird people who teach youngsters that you take your horn out of the case and place it to your chops and just hit the loudest, highest note as cold as you possibly can have your horn, whatever cold day, whatever part of the world you're in, and just put it up there and do it. And his theory is that if you beat your chops into submission, they'll do anything you want them to do. But we don't like to use that sadistic approach. We like to use a nice, theoretic and easy approach, because this is what's going to actually add to our longevity as trumpet players. And intervals are our greatest allies. Now, we find that the intervals which you've studied here are going to be very great for working out. If you work with only one of them. Remember, when you work with an interval, don't be afraid to reverse it. And let's take, for instance, a little warm-up exercise, which we call just a little ditty. For instance, you have a chance to count and utilize your indulgence in whole rest, whole notes, half notes, and you play a little thing like this. Rest, 2, 3, 4. Rest, 2, 3, 4. Rest, 2, 3, 4. Rest, 2, 3. You could go right on up the scale. Now, you don't necessarily have to adhere to this particular thing that we are diagnosing for you. It's good medicine, of course, but you can use your own imagination, and so that you don't get bored with practicing, because practicing can sometimes get a little bored if you have to do the same thing all the time. You can be innovative and creative in your practice, you know. You'd be surprised at how many things you can get out of just the C scale. You can get an awful lot of enjoyment out of a C scale. So if I were you, I'd just dig in there and practice as much as I possibly could. Now that we have more or less mastered the technique of warming up with the use of intervals and harmonics, we'll move on into scales. And Mark's going to join me in helping me to demonstrate to you the use of scales. So we'd like to take the C scale. And first of all, we'll play it. Mark will play it with me, and I'll mark it, one it down with you to point to each scale, each note as we go up the scale. Do that one time, and then the second time, I'm just going to call the notes, and as we play it, and then the third time, I want you to do it as we play the notes. Okay? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now this time, without my pointing, I'm just going to call the notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now this time, you do it. Now we'll take the key of G. The key of G is the scale that entails one sharp. You got one sharp there, and that is the F sharp. So wherever that F sharp appears, you'll see a little accidental there. Sometimes little parentheses around them, sharp, and you see it at the bottom. This is the first time you've been introduced to the sharp in the scale, so pay very close attention to it, because now you don't play that F with the first valve anymore. You got to use the second valve when you get to that F. So remember that. Pay very close attention, otherwise it's going to make you sound out of tune when you get up to there and play that F with the first finger. You got to use the second finger this time. So watch the scale, watch the fingering this time. Okay? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, one more time. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, E. All right, beautiful. Now this time, we want you to do it. Okay, now we'll go to the F scale. This time you'll notice we have a B flat. We haven't been introduced to the B flat before. Before, when we got to the B, we played it with the middle valve, with the second valve. But now it's flat, so we play it with the first valve this time. And it doesn't just mean that right here in this particular area where you see it, you flat it. Any time in the whole piece, if the piece is 32 measures or 32 pages long or whatever, every time you run into that B flat, you finger it with the first valve, and it is a B flat and not a B natural, as long as it is in that key. Okay, now Mark will play the F thing with me twice, and then you're going to do it again, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. Beautiful. One more time. We're going to call the notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. Now this time, you do it. We have another key. This time, we're going to be introduced to two strangers. We got a C sharp and an F sharp, two of them. We haven't encountered that before. This means that this time you're not going to play that C open. You're going to play that C with the first and second, and you're going to play that F sharp like you did up here with the middle valve. So you really got to watch your cues down here. You got C sharp, 1 and 2, and F sharp, middle valve, second valve. So be very, very careful when you play the key of D. We're going into the key of D now, okay? So watch, look, and listen very, very attentively while Mark plays the D scale for you. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, we'll call off the notes one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. Beautiful. Now it's your turn, okay? This is an excellent exercise, and you can work on it as slowly as you want or as swiftly as you want. You should be able to get it to the point where you say, and then backwards. You know, you don't just have to play it forward. You can play it down. Or you can mix it. There's all sorts of ways, as I mentioned before. You can have so much fun practicing if you just use a bit of imagination and a little creativeness. And you can, after you've gotten these things under your belt, you can always go downtown and find some books related to trumpet playing, and you can get more and more involved. You can get just as involved as you want. This is not to replace the teacher. This is to make things more interesting and for the teacher when he gets a hold to you. So when you get to a teacher, he's really going to have an interesting student to work with because you've already had some entree as to what a trumpet is about and what trumpet playing is all about. So it should be fun. So have fun with it. Go to it. Did you hear that? That was a chromatic scale, up and down. Mark was just playing a chromatic scale. Do that again one time, Mark, would you? I want you to watch Mark's fingering very closely as he goes up slowly and comes down slowly. I'll count it off for you, Mark. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Down now. Now I want you to do that with Mark, just a little bit faster this time, because I think you can do it a little faster. Mark, you're going to do it, and you're going to do it along with him. 1, 2, 3, 4. Coming down the same way. Beautiful. Now you're going to do it all by yourselves. And now that you've gotten the chromatics under your fingers, we're going to go to ledger lines. Ledger lines mean simply the extenuation of the staff above and below. Notes that are added to the staff. So as you see here, sometimes the range goes above the realm of just the 5 lines and the 4 spaces. So they add little lines and little spaces above, and you have to play up there, or below, and you have to play down there below. And there's fingering down there, which I'm sure you'll get under your belts. So now that you've got the ledger lines under your fingers, there's one very, very important bit of theory that you must get under your fingers, and that is dynamics. So often we go through our careers not being aware of dynamics, and we don't want you to be, we don't want any of our trumpet players to be cats who are not hip to dynamics. So we'll take a good look at this. When you see that F, that means loud. You see 2 Fs or double Fs, that means very loud. When you see a P, that means soft. 2 Ps mean very soft. And that F means forte, double F means double forte, P means piano, and double P means double piano, very softly. And when you see it soft, the hairpins start soft at one point and get wider on the end, that means from soft to loud. And vice versa, when it starts wide and gets narrow, that means it's going to start loud and goes down to soft. So these are very, very important ones to remember. Forte, double forte, piano, pianissimo, loud, soft to loud, and loud to soft, okay? Very, very important dynamics. So we sincerely hope that you're going to dig in and get those dynamics down get all these other things that we worked on, and it should be fun. And I hope I run into you sometime so that we can practice together. Okay, fellow trumpeters, now we're going to get involved with some exercises that's going to use up some of this knowledge that we've gained, okay? Each one we're going to play 3 times. The first time, Mark's going to play it alone. The second time, he's going to play it with you. You're going to play it with him, rather. And the third time, you're going to play it by yourself, okay? We're going to do a slow one, a medium one, rather a little faster one, and then a medium one, okay? So here we go, the slow one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Now you're going to play it with Mark this time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, this time you got it on your own. Now we go to the key of G. Remember, you got to remember the sharp that you got in this one, okay? I won't tell you. You're supposed to know it now, okay? Mark's going to play it the first time alone. Chops together. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. Now you're on your own. Beautiful. Now we got the medium one. This is the key of F. Remember that one note that you got to play with the first finger? I'm not telling you what it is because you know what it is, okay? A 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. Now this time, along with Mark. 1, 2, 2, 2. Very good. Now you got it on your own. Now we're going to introduce to you some little syncopated jazz phrases, like, some get you into a little different type of feeling as far as getting involved in what you're going to get into a little later on, the swing feel of things. So we got 3 things, 1 in C, 1 in F, and 1 in G. Very short, but very intricate and very cute. So you have to watch them and pay attention and listen. All this time that we're doing all these things, we hope you haven't forgotten to use the ear. You got to listen a lot, okay? So here we go now. Mark, you ready? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, here we go with Mark. We'll do it a little bit slower for you. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, very good. Now it's your turn. All right, very good. Now this one's in F. It's going to be a little bit upper than the other one was, okay? Remember, key of F now. Watch the note that you got to watch. 1, 2, a 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, one more time with Mark this time. 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, I'm not going to give you a break this time. You got to play it in the right tempo. One, you got it on your own. Okay, good. Now we go to the key of G, and this is kind of medium. You should be able to do this one, but watch the key signature, okay? Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Beautiful. One more time now, with Mark this time. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Fantastic. Now you're on your own. And now, fellow trumpeters, I refer to you as fellow trumpeters because you are now at the point where you can make use of all those things that you've been studying, like fingering, placing the fingers in the proper position and using the proper embouchure and being aware of what the mouthpiece is and the lead pipe and how to take care of your instrument, how to clean it and how to produce a sound and how to buzz, how to warm up. And all these things lead to the ultimate, and that is the enjoyment of playing the trumpet. And this is what we're going to get involved in right now. So we're going to do a couple of things. Major Holly here is one of the greatest bass players in the whole world, and I always enjoy playing with him. So you're going to have the fun of playing with Major Holly. I'm going to play the tune first, and then we're going to stop. We're going to give you a chance to get your chops together. We refer to our embouchure area as the chops, you know. So whenever you want to feel like you're hip enough to talk to the cats in the neighborhood, you say, hey man, my chops are cool. I've been practicing every day and my chops are straight. So we'll give you a chance to get your embouchure together and get your chops up and get your mouthpieces all together, you know, and get your fingers ready and you get your posture in proper position. And we're going to kick it off. And then you're going to come in on one. We're going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever the tempo is. And then when it's time for you to come in, you come in and play along with Major. Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2. Now, it's your turn to try it, and if you notice, I made a few little embellishments here and there. If you want to try to imitate those, do so. You know, there's 3 things that we must remember in getting involved in trumpet playing. If you're going to get involved in the jazz a little bit later on, we have to go through 3 stages, and that is of imitation and assimilation before we get to innovation. So don't be afraid to imitate somebody somewhere along the way, and pick up some things that way. A little bit later on, you start to rearranging them and figuring them out and say, wonder why he did that this way. I think I should do it this way. And then next thing you know, you got your own style working. Now you're going to get a chance to do this with the great Major Holly. We're going to kick it off. Got your chops together. Get the embouchure together. Horns up. Nice posture. Diaphragms open. Ready to make a nice, round, fat tone. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Don't be afraid to play along with the radio, play along with TV, some of your favorite records, some of your favorite players, and it all should be fun. That's why it's called playing. You play your instruments, you don't work your instruments, so have fun. Should be a gas.